Vincent Van Gogh, people told him, you can't be a great painter, you only have one ear. You know what he said? I can't hear you.
Listening to Sippin' Sports, a Philly sports talk morning show with Chris, KJ, and Dalt. Proudly powered by 302 Birds. Let's take it to the show.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. I wish KJ was here because his old buddy's here. Irish Dutch. Everybody's got on their green. Chaos Chris, I appreciate you, brother. He's got on his green. It's a St. Patrick's Day special over here today at Sippin' Sports, and we got a lot to break down for you. Unfortunately, Philadelphia Eagles haven't been so lucky, but we're lucky today. We got a cool guest I want to introduce real quick who's going to be joining us all show. You guys have already met him before. I know on 302 Birds main show, I think he's definitely been on here for a segment or two on Sippin' Sports, but regardless, welcome back to the network. Joey Havens, how you doing, brother?
Good, how you doing? It's a Saturday, so it's
a beautiful Saturday. We're great to be here right before St. Patrick's Day. But we got a lot on tap. Like I said, I mean, unfortunately, the Eagles haven't been so lucky. The Phillies are down at spring training. I mean, Chris, I'll let you go ahead and crack the can open on this one. How you feeling about some spring training for the Phils?
I haven't paid attention to it too much. I've watched a little bit of the games, but it's kind of really boring right now. It seems like the real only storyline is going to be who is going to be the leadoff hitter. But besides that, the roster is pretty much set. Maybe a couple bench spots. It's like, who cares kind of thing. I've enjoyed watching some more of the prospects get some time here and there. There was a prospects showcase yesterday, which my guy, Jordan Disson, was on the roster. So that was cool to see. But right now, it's kind of just waiting for the season to start. And it's almost like a what are they type thing. Like, we know they have a decent roster, but it doesn't feel like they're good enough. So we'll see. We'll see what happens come the season. But it's almost like, all right, let's kick it off. It's time to play.
Yeah, for sure. Joey, I mean, have you watched any spring training yourself, or?
I've watched like a little bit, not anything like worth like watching so far. I feel like every time I watch it, I turn it on. It's either the Phillies are up like 10 runs or they're down 10 runs. It's spring training. There's never no in between. It's somebody is whooping somebody every day. I think the one thing that I've kind of been trying to stay interested in is seeing how like the newer pitchers are doing, like Luzardo. I want to see how he'll fit in the lineup. I don't know what, like, Rob Thompson still got something for Taijuan Walker, and I just want him as far away from this baseball team as possible. But if Luzardo and they can get that, I think it'll be a 5-man rotation with Luzardo. If I'm not wrong, it might be 6. I don't know. It's 5 or 6. But I think getting that really just the 1 through 5, 1 through 6 pitching rotation, getting that down is going to be crucial for this year. And obviously just hoping the bats will just keep consistent all season.
Yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. The Phillies, and I've said it all season long for Sippin' Sports, have really no expectations as far as most fans go. So they got a lot of legwork to do. Anything that they do in spring training, they could win every game by 10 runs, as Joey said, and nobody's going to get overly exaggerated or overly excited. I am excited, though. We're about 2 weeks out from opening day. I will be there on opening day. I just want to say, if anybody else is going to be there taking off that Monday, go to Sheffield Shuffler's tailgate with no fly zone. I'll be there. It's like $45. I think it's all you can eat, all you can drink, surf sides, primo hoagies. You had me at that, my friends. So, yeah, I'll be hanging out there looking forward to it. Hey, Mekhi,
Yeah, boy, Irish Dutch here, calling into the show. Don't you know? Don't you know? If you're not doing anything and you're feeling lucky on March 31st, come on down to Sheffield Shuffler's tailgate, Matty.
Did
But
you
we'll
say
see.
Surfsides?
I said Surfsides.
Surfsides?
$45, all you can drink.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's
I'm gonna need an Uber.
We're gonna need an Uber. At least we know that if we get, all fueled up and we walk into the ballpark, then the Phillies will definitely let us down when expectations are the highest. It almost felt like that same way with these two guys. I love Slay. I love CJGJ, but they both got a lot of personality. Nobody's going to deny that, right? We all know it. We can all say it. But it felt like the way that these guys went out, it shouldn't have went out that way. It just wasn't a good way to go out. And I feel like we knew with CJGJ, like his departure from any team has been ugly pretty much when he left the Saints, then when he left us, then when he left the Lions, now when he's leaving us again. It's just keeping it real. I understand that people are attached to CJGJ, but that's just kind of the player he is. Looking at the cap hit, I would have probably kept him one more year. I get what the Eagles are trying to do. They're looking at the long term, and I think that's where a lot of fans are putting emotion over business. But at the same time, as an Eagles fan, you got to understand that this team is trying to be in the Super Bowl for the next 3 years, not the next one. Like, this is about building a dynasty. This is about making sure you're in the next couple of games so that you can be that dynasty that competes with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs dynasty is over personally. I think we're past that era. But we'll see. Point being, I think that the Eagles are actually like playing chess, not checkers. Hence, their pickup. But these two guys, Slay, maybe would have kept him around. You guys know how I feel about him. But the fact that they're reacting this way on their way out, I think is actually like a good sign for Eagles fans. Like, okay, like did you want this in the middle of last year? You know what I mean? Like, because you could have dynamite like that, and that could really ruin all the chemistry for a potential Super Bowl season, at least in my opinion. Chris, how you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't buy in the whole this is about money thing with the trade for CJ. I really think it is this off the field stuff. And they're never going to come out flat out and say that. But I almost feel like that was the last straw, him getting a nothing argument with Slay for no reason. And it just seems like that's the thing that CJ has done his whole career. And there's some aspects where that's awesome, and we like that he talks a lot. But, you also have to look at the organizational standpoint, and it's almost like it attracts unnecessary attention to you. And you already got a target on your back. They already had the target on the back. They won the Super Bowl. We have it. It's another thing that they can just go at you for. So I'm not as surprised by the trade. I'm just a little bit upset with what they got back. Which I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, yeah, I'm not too surprised with the whole trade.
Joey, how are you feeling about it?
So initially it came out of I said to somebody, I said, this came out of left field. Like, I was not ready for this at all. But then I thought about it for a second, and yeah, CJGJ, he just obviously, like, with Darius Slay, the one thing that I've told everybody, honestly, like, my brother-in-law is a Steelers fan. He's hyped that, like, Darius Slay coming to the Steelers. And I was like, dude, he's a 35-year-old cornerback. Like, let's be real here. He's got maybe a good year left. So Darius Slay, I wasn't concerned with bringing him back at all. CJGJ, yeah, that caught me way off guard, but I understand it now. Like, as I've kind of just thought about it more and more, it's like, So if you did see the Slate podcast where he's like the leaders and Gardner Johnson wasn't mentioned. And I mean, I feel like as a leader, Slay would have mentioned CJ Gardner Johnson unless they had internal beef. But if Slay's gone, why wouldn't you bring CJ back? So obviously it can't just be that. It's got to be there's something either going on in the locker room a lot more, or it's for money purposes is what they're going to say. But I think there's a lot more to it that they're not going to tell us. And I think it's a lot more to do with like his attitude and everything like that, just on and off the field. Even against the Commanders this year when he got kicked out, we lost the game. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is like, should we have traded him? Because You see what we did when he wasn't on the field this year. But I think a couple of the signings we got kind of shake things up a little bit more, and then our young guys, Dennis, let's see what Sidney Brown can do, right?
Yeah, he's the biggest fan of this move, I know, because he's ready to see Sidney Brown ball out. And I think that the Eagles do, in all fairness, believe in Sid. I mean, he had that pick six against the Cardinals the year in between the two Super Bowls that not a lot of people talk about. The Eagles also don't draft a lot of capital in the safety position, or at least they haven't recently. Like, I'm pretty sure Sidney Brown is the highest safety draft pick that they've invested in, maybe even since Reed in the third round. I think Reed was a third or fourth round pick. But point being, I just really think that these moves seem like a mistake right now, but they may long-term be a good move. Like, people forget, like, I saw a lot of people being like, what are they doing? Breaking up the best secondary we ever had. Guys, the secondary, 3 out of the 4 players are still Pro Bowl caliber players in Reed, Quignon, and Coop. And then you got depth that's coming in. Like, they're going to draft guys. They're going to bring guys in. With Howie Roseman, and shout out to Bill Colarulo from 97.5, The Fanatic, said the Eagles and Howie specifically are doing low-risk, high-reward moves. That's exactly what Zach Baum was. Chris and I were talking about it before the show. And I think if the Eagles can find a way to pull off a couple more of them, Mekhi Becton, same thing. High risk, or low risk, high reward. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the sauce over here early enough. I haven't even had a drink yet. But point is, if Howie Roseman can kind of find a couple more of those gems, the Eagles are going to be a good team, because that's how Super Bowl teams are made, right? It's guys that are bigger than themselves. And that's what Mekhi Becton was this past year. That kind of sucked that he departed. I'll go ahead and just take this one first. I woke up to the news. My old ass went to bed last night at like freaking 10 o'clock. So I got the news that Mekhi Becton went to the Chargers. And first thing I'll say is good luck. Good luck to Mekhi Becton. I think he'll do well. I think he'll be a great player. But the thing I think that a lot of people are quick to forget, and if Mekhi Becton falls off in LA, is going to be, okay, how much of his success was the team around him? Also, I'm sure he learned a lot from Stoutland. I know he talks about that a ton, of how grateful he is for Stoutland. But I kind of thought that the way that things shook out, the way that he cried in the Super Bowl, everything, start to finish, I really thought that he would have been here and he would have taken a pay cut. So I'm not saying I'm praying on his downfall. I wish him all the best. But what I would say is I wouldn't be surprised also if, like, he takes a step back, if that makes sense. Being on a Chargers line that's not as good as the Eagles, where you're going to have a ton more responsibility. You're going to have to be the leader. It's not like you're going to the best offensive line in the NFL, where if you're the best version of yourself, that offensive line is just, it's sums are greater than its parts. I believe I said that right. Shout out to my boy BG. He said that. But the point is, when you all come together, you're making something bigger than yourself. Mekhi Becton is, I think, you got Slater on that offensive line. There's a couple other dudes, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to have the same success. What do you guys think?
I think he's going to be really good there, actually. They drafted Joe Alt last year, who is arguably the best rookie tackle out there at right tackle. He's 6'8". Then you got Mekhi Becton at 6'7", right to the left of him. Like, that's going to be scary if you're trying to run behind that. And that's what Mekhi Becton is. He's a great run blocker. It's funny because I think out of all the ones they let go, this might have been the move that upset me the most. And I knew that they weren't going to bring back everybody. But, you know, he's a 25-year-old guy that we basically homegrown. Stoutland fixed him, wins the Super Bowl, and he just seemed like he just loved to play in Philadelphia. And I was under the impression, yeah, he'll come back. Like, they'll get something done with him, and it just didn't happen. And I don't know, like, he seemed to get a lot less money than I thought he was going to get. I thought he was going to be close to that 13 to 15 range, and he only got 10 a year for 2 years. So, I mean, the Eagles have only signed guys for minimum contracts besides Zach Baun. Maybe they just don't want to spend any money this offseason at all. So, I'm going to miss Mekhi Becton a lot. I wish him nothing but the best in in Los Angeles, and I hope he's really good there.
Joey?
Yeah. Honestly, this morning when I woke up, I just saw this, so I went to bed early too last night. Though I'm an old person too.
We get
But,
some raw reactions over here from me and
yeah,
Joey. We're just sitting here.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of figured like the writing was on the wall that he wasn't coming back. I think Shard said it in the group chat once CJ was gone and they got the guard back from the Texans or whatever. It was kind of obvious that like Mekhi is probably not coming back, and it does suck because everybody was saying he was a bust with the Jets and like comes down here, has a great season. I don't know if he would have been like a Pro Bowler or anything, but I think he definitely should have been. I think this offensive line was so dominant this year that like you can't discount anybody on that offensive line. They were all killers, and to move from the tackle position to guard position too, that's a big ask. I feel like in the NFL, because I know at like the 8th grade level when I was playing the tackle position and I was watching the guards run around and pull and everything like that, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Fuck
And
that. Yeah.
and at a 6'7" and 300 some pounds to have to move from the stand up tackle position to guard, yeah, you're a better man than I'll say that. And it sucks that he's got to go. And I really wish we could have brought him back because he would have made this offensive line. Nobody would have touched us. Nobody would have touched us. Saquon would have been for 2,000 again next year. Oh man! But we do have Jeff Stoutland, so I can breathe a little easy knowing that this new guy is going to go to Stoutland University and we should be all right.
Yeah, and literally Kenyon Green, get ready to learn Stoutland, buddy. I mean, he's going to have to get to work with him quick. But Kenyon Green, same thing. I mean, if you look at the blueprint, he is pretty much the same blueprint as Becton. Former first-round pick, labeled as a bust, didn't have success with his team. Put him in here, give him a couple, clinics of the stout, and we'll see how he does. I think he'll be good. But Mekhi, I really liked Mekhi as a person too. I know you guys did as well. I know we all did. He just had a good personality. I mean, you see the clips of him doing the rock out with Saquon after, and he was just a team guy. But that's one of those things, guys, that we just got to keep in mind is sometimes this is the part that sucks about winning a Super Bowl is everybody wants your players. Love Chris's comment here as well. Trevor Keegan, same thing I'm naming about a locker room guy. How many guys can come in and play football? A lot of guys. How many guys can come in and play football and be a locker room guy? That's the real kicker. But Keegan is now technically a Super Bowl champion, which is crazy to think about his rookie year. But he was somebody I think that they drafted definitely, I think it was last year, right, Chris? Or was it the year
5th round last year.
Yeah, he's a Michigan player, right?
Yeah, he was from Michigan. So he won the national championship the year before, then won the Super Bowl. So I really like him. I don't know if he's like necessarily going to start this year, but I don't see why he can't be in the competition with Steen and Green.
Or depth piece.
Green. If Stoutland's able to fix Green, then he better win some damn awards because Green has sucked. Like Becton was a bust, but he showed flashes where you could see he's got some movability. He can play. Green does not have that at all. So we'll see. But I like Keegan a lot, and maybe Keegan doesn't necessarily start, but if he's a second string, I can see that happening.
Now, do you guys think that there's ever any chance that Becton could come back to Philly at all? Like if I could see that. Like we saw it with CJGJ, and I think we're going to start to see it with more NFL players around the NFL, where they might go somewhere, they might get a bag, they might get paid, but guess what? If it don't work out well, how are you going to get the next bag, buddy? What are you going to do? You got to go back to the source of who gave you your success. I'm not saying I'm wishing Mekhi Becton wrong. I actually think that the Chargers are going to win that division next year. I really do. But if it doesn't work out, I would not be shocked to see him come back to Philly and then want to sign a long-term deal and take that pay cut. Because I think guys are going to start to prioritize success over money slowly. They're making so much money either way.
Mm-hmm.
Like Josh Allen said it, I think, the other day. Like, what is a $5 million difference going to do for me? Well, Josh, I mean, if you want to take a $1 million difference and donate it to 302 Birds, we'll graciously take a donation over here. We could use it. But I get your point. I mean, when you're making that much money, all your needs are taken care of. That's, I think, the point that he was trying to illustrate is, hey, I'm good. I don't need, more than I have. And then you got the dumbass reporters asking him, does this mean that your fiance is going to get a bigger ring? And then he's like Fox News is making a story about it. Like, what? Like, maybe the dude just doesn't want to get hit with dumbass questions. But back to the point, Mekhi Becton, great player. Chargers definitely got a real one in big ticket. Big ticket. Gonna miss you, man. I mean, you were a stud. It sucks that it only had to be for 1 year. And that's kind of the most unfun part about being an NFL fan. And what we do is you have to understand and deal with some of these confusing departures. When you go out and win a Super Bowl and have that success with 22 guys that start on your team, it's going to be inevitable that you're not going to bring back all 22 of them. Another thing I also want to talk about, most of the Eagles guys or guys that they're paying a lot of money are on offense. And when you think about it, the Eagles were a defensive identity team this year. Now, their offense wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but their defense is really the team that came through in clutch moments when they needed them to. Those last 2 games, I mean, the defense shut out both teams. And then you look at the Rams game, if it wasn't for Jalen Carter, Matt Stafford could have closed out that game on us and ruined our hopes there. Mm-hmm. So when all was said and done, push came to shove, the Eagles were a defensive team. And they're going to have to start sinking some money into that defense. I know Zach Bond is a good piece, but I wonder how much of an influence Vic Fangio has on that. I would hope that he has a good influence. And I hope that Howie Roseman came and talked to him and said something like this. Hey, it's going to take Bond or CJGJ. You can't have both. Pick one. You know what I mean? And he probably said, I want Bond. It's easier for me to replace a guy in that secondary than it is for me to replace Zach Bond in the middle of that defense, who's like the key piece of our linebacking core right now. And I get that. But I think that any departure right now is going to be a confusing departure, if that makes sense. I mean, I know you guys have been around the block with NFL, so you definitely get what I'm saying already. But what I'm trying to say to the amateur fans out there is, like, any player that leaves is going to hurt because you just won a Super Bowl. So any player is a Pro Bowl cat. That's how it goes when you win a Super Bowl. But you just got to be patient and understand that this guy right here, I wish you guys could see that photo a little bit clearer. I got 2 rings on there. We have gone to 3 Super Bowls in 7 years, my friends, and won 2 of them. So to anybody doubting Howie Roseman, let me say that again. We have gone to 3 Super Bowls in 2 years, my friends, and won 2 of them. That's a 66% success rate. So to anybody doubting Howie Roseman, fuck you. Really. I mean, I get it. I get that you're upset, but you got to understand this guy knows what he's doing. We don't know what he's doing, but we aren't sitting in the office with him every day, hanging out with him day to day. Like, he's got a plan. You got to trust him. And the thing, I think the last thing I want to say too is it would be one thing if it was like the Brady era, where it's like, okay, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick went to X amount of Super Bowls in 7 years. What the Eagles did, in my opinion, is kind of more impressive. They have gone to 2 different Super Bowls in 7 years with 2 completely different rosters, 2 completely different defenses, 2 completely different quarterbacks, 2 completely different running backs, 2 completely different wide receiver ones. Like, the only guys that were similar on this team was the kicker, the long snapper, the right tackle, and BG. Come on. I get why people were upset, but they got to understand. I mean, this guy, he knows what he's doing, and I got confidence in him. I don't know. Are you guys upset with them, confident in him? How are you guys feeling?
Honestly, I'll be completely for real with you.
Lay it on me.
Josh Sweat didn't do anything before the Super Bowl, to be honest. So that doesn't bother me. Milton Williams, he was good, but he's young, and honestly, after seeing what the Patriots paid for him, I think they overpaid him just because I think Jalen Carter made him what he was. Let's see. Who else do we got? I mean, CJ.
I'm loving this, Havens. Lay it on, bro. You're stating facts.
Like, we lost 2. Them 2. And yeah.
I can name it here. I got it right here. Josh Sweat to the Cardinals, Milton Williams to the Pats, Isaiah Rodgers to the Vikes, Clay to the Steelers, CJGJ to the Texans, and Mekhi to the Chargers. Let me ask you something, Joey. Would you pay top 5 money to any of those guys?
No.
Yeah, your point's literally proven right there, bro.
And then on top of that, like, I mean, even like Kenny Gainwell went to the Steelers. Like, it was nobody like important, and the core's still there. So we'll be all right. I mean, the other one that might sting a little bit is Isaiah Rodgers. I feel like he was an all right, but even that, like Isaiah Rodgers, that one boggled my mind all season long because I felt like every time, like it could have been just me, but every time he got in, he was getting burnt toast all the time.
Yeah, it happened a couple of times. I know what you mean.
So that one that didn't bother me as much. And like I mean CJGJ that shocked me, but even after the initial shock, it's like okay, he can be replaced. I think Adoree Jackson coming in either corner or safety, whatever he'll play, I think he'll make a big impact as well. So I think that'll be a fill in there.
Yeah, I think my biggest issues isn't what they lost. It's more what they've tried to add to replace these guys. And it's not that they had to replace all these guys. Like Williams, he's gone. I like Ojomo a lot. Sweat being gone. All right, we got some guys like Hunt behind him. It's more like, all right, you cut Slay, and then don't bring back Rodgers. Yeah, you bring in Adoree Jackson, but he's older. I don't know what he is anymore. Is he still a starting corner in the NFL? I'm not sure. Then safety, like, yeah, okay, we got Sidney Brown, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as high on Sidney Brown as a lot of people are. Whenever I watch Sidney Brown, I don't see it, but there's some people who do, and that's fine. But again, I think they've gone really, really, really cheap this offseason, which we'll see if it's good or not. But they haven't even I think every single player they've signed is a minimum contract. I mean, they are really, really going at the let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks thing. And it may work, it may not. We'll see what happens in the draft. But I do feel like he's got something up his sleeve because he's been like really ultra conservative so far. And it's not the way Howie does things.
We're going to get like the news today. Micah Parsons traded from the Cowboys for a bag to the field. No, I'm kidding. But I hear
don't even with that anymore.
Like there would be something crazy like that. We thought Myles Garrett was going to be in the cards, and then he has probably one of the greatest showmanships ever getting the bag from the Browns. Obviously, that guy never wants to win. He just wants to get paid. But I think I hear what you're saying, Chris. I mean, I know I hear what you're saying. You're stating facts that he's got a trick up his sleeve. This is how he works. We've seen this happen before where we're all ready to strangle him, to be like, what are you doing, dude? And then something comes out where it's like, oh, okay, that's why that happened. I mean, case in point, last year, a lot of Eagles fans were really upset when DeAndre Swift left. He's from Philly, so you got every guy from Philly. He's from here, bro. He grew up an Eagles fan. What the hell, Howard? What are you doing? And then, like, literally, I don't even know if it was a week later. It was a couple days later. Saquon Barkley's an Eagle. They're like one of the best signings in Philadelphia Eagles history. One of the smartest things ever. And I just feel like he's got that plan. Like Chris said, there's going to be something that's going to happen. It might be today. It might be tomorrow. It might be a week from now. It might be draft night like it was with A.J. Brown a couple years ago. And it might be post June 1st because there are also trades then, like where he has cap things. But I promise you guys, and I've said it on a couple of shows, that come September 1st, this will be a Super Bowl caliber roster. Like this team will be able to compete. I know that.
Yeah, they're not far off now. They're really not.
Well, speaking of not far off, I mean, I'll let you take this one first. Would you like Trey Hendrickson? I know he's a little bit older, coming from the Bengals.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. If he hasn't spent money on anything else, I don't see him spending. What did Garrett get? $40 million a year. I'm sure Hendrickson's going to want something close to that.
True.
I don't see that. I don't see Howie Roseman paying a 29, 30-year-old that much money. The one who's going to get it is going to be Carter on his own team. So I think that's a lot of the reason they freed up all this money is they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay Smith. They're going to have to pay Carter. These guys that are in-house are going to have to get paid. And I don't see – it's not only you have to pay him $40 million. They want a first-round pick plus. The Eagles aren't doing that. They're not going to do that. It's not a Howie move.
Joey?
So ready for this. I've been thinking about this, okay? Because I personally, I'm on the Trey Hendrickson train. I like this guy. I want this guy. I'm just saying, what we could do, we could work something out. Everybody's talking about like Dallas Goddard on his deal. All
Joey's
that.
going to do the dishes for the Bengals for a
Look,
week or
look,
two.
Dallas Goddard, yeah. Hey, if it gets me Trey Hendrickson, I'll do it. I got to do it. Okay, but I think Dallas Goddard already in the trade rumors and talks and everything like that. I think that's a big piece they could really kind of throw at the Bengals because it's like you got Mike Gesicki, I think. I don't know. But anyway, so you need a tight end. You need a new one, and we got a good one. So a Super Bowl champion, by the way. You guys like this tight end? Well, we like your end. So we could trade. We'll give you like a third or a fourth, typical Howie things, and we'll throw a little package deal for Trey Hendrickson. And I think they could do it. I don't know if they'll pay him that much money though. So it might be a little bit of a pipe dream. But if it would happen, I would be ecstatic. I would be ecstatic because I think he's a really good edge rusher. I think he's a really good player. And I think on this defensive line, he would make a huge, huge impact right next to Jalen Carter. And offenses wouldn't even know what to do with themselves.
Maybe I have PTSD, Chris. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's just white guys that wear 91 that are older that come to this team. Shout out to J. Doe's cousin, Ryan Kerrigan. But I just don't want it to be Kerrigan 2.0 would be my fear. But I hear your point, Joey. I mean, he's a great player for great value. And I like the trade with the Goddard idea. I think that's a really smart way to kind of leverage that capital for the Eagles right now. Super Bowl champion, phenomenal tight end, safety blanket. Joe Burrow could kind of have a 2 tight end set if they want to run that with Gesicki and him. That actually might be really dangerous for them. And with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, that honestly might be a solid offense for them to run.
Just don't tell them Goddard gets injured for like 4 games a year. At least.
Yeah,
Goddard wants the bag.
Yeah. Don't tell them that part, but they'll figure out. They'll figure it out. Point is, I mean, I think that they need an edge. I would rather them go sign someone personally than draft someone. I know it's a deep class, but they can get somebody in the 3rd round. I want a different veteran in the fear that Brandon Graham might not be back next year. You're going to need that leader, in my opinion. I don't know. But definitely a lot going on for the Eagles as far as free agency goes. Definitely a lot going on for the Phillies. It's a little bit more of a brief show today just because the Philly spring training has been pretty repetitive. We already talked about CJGJ and Slay last week, and then really Becton and then a couple confusing departures have really been the only free agency news for our Philadelphia Eagles. Please, Howard, make a big trade this week. Please give us something to talk about all show next week. Give us a player that's somebody exciting. I don't even care if it's Julio Jones. Get his ass to come back here. I don't care. I mean, give us something exciting. Give us something to talk about. But we will be back next Saturday for you guys. Also want to do a quick advertisement. I think we're still planning out the details, but save the date for April 16th. It's a Wednesday night. It's looking like we're going to do our celebrity guest bartender event at Klondike Kate's again that night. I'm going to begin reaching out to our celebrity guest bartenders. So if you were one last year and you haven't heard from me, that's why. We're trying to figure out what Eagles players are going to be there. And once we get that figured out, well, it's going to be a lot of fun. But that's pretty much all we got for you guys today. I want to thank everybody for joining and coming in who came in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. All those little things help us out a ton. And tune in later tonight because I believe it'll be the grand premiere of the Jackson Hour on the channel, which will be a lot of fun and a new show that I'm giving Jack a show. So this is either going to go really good or really bad. We'll find out. No, I'm just kidding. But Chris, thank you for being here, man. Anything you want to say on the way out?
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Joey, we appreciate you joining us as our guest. Please let the people know where they can give you a follow if they choose to.
Check me out on Instagram at 302birds, and then it's Joey. 302birds Joey. Yeah.
Everybody go follow Havens. He's the man. He's bringing you guys insane draft coverage. He pretty much does it all when it comes to football. He knows his stuff. So appreciate you being here, Joey. We'll get you back on here again. And Mac, if you're watching, well, happy St. Patrick's Day, laddie.
This is for you.